Yo, people, it's Football Bench channel back again. It's me and my guy, Mr. Age Online. The hosts with the mosts, dropping the toasts. And yeah, let's get into it. So, Arsenal 4, Leeds 1. Let's start with the actual game itself. So, from my perspective, it wasn't a great game, but that was credit to Leeds in the first half. I thought they actually, first 30 seconds of the game, they actually came out and attacked us. I think they played with like a five-man midfield against our three, so they were quite combatant in terms of picking up the balls, second balls. Somerville, very impressed with him. He had a few chances that he could have scored to make us uncomfortable in the first half. And I thought it was very sloppy. We didn't grab the game until Jesus got injured. Oh, sorry, not got injured, got tackled. Soft penalty in the box. I thought that was very soft, but I will take that at this stage. And overall, second half, we was much better, but we still had Leeds probing, and I think that early goal just set the tone for us once we got that early goal in the second half. And then we got that goal from Ben White. I think that was it after that. There was no coming back. I just want to say a shout out to Gabriel Jesus for grabbing a brace today. That was the way he went about that was very good. And even when he got substituted, you can see he was like vexed. He wanted to stay on the pitch. So yeah, overall, I'll take the 3 points. I don't know what you got to say about that age, but let me know.
I kind of agree with all your points. In the first 30 minutes, we were really competitive. We looked relaxed. Arsenal didn't really pose any threat, no real shots at goal. But when we did get, when we won a goal down, and like you said, it was a bit of a soft penalty, but it was a really clumsy penalty as well. But once that goal went in, the match sort of changed. And like you said, second half, Ben White's goal just changed the dynamic of the game. I think Arsenal just grew in confidence, and they were in complete control. We did have a glimmer of hope when we scored, when Rasmus Christensen scored the goal for us, but I did not really see realistically us coming back into the game. Even at that point, we'd have needed an instant goal and Arsenal to sort of retreat, which they were never going to do. But no, I have to say, even though it was a 4-1 scoreline, there were some good things, and I think we have to also look at the way Leeds set up. I was thinking about the review, and I got it horribly wrong in terms of the lineup, but also the formation as well. And it was a formation that indicated that it was a defensive system. It was going to be a case of trying to maybe come away with a point, not concede. We didn't have a recognised striker, 2 strikers on the bench. And yeah, I mean, it's an approach. But if it was to sort of keep the deficit down, it didn't really work. But there were some aspects of that performance that was really good. And I think the clubs, or rather the coach has got the team a lot more disciplined because they were able to carry out those orders and stay quite faithful. It worked in the first half. But once the goals went in, I think not so much it unravelled. It's just very difficult. Arsenal are so good at keeping the ball.
Yeah, I thought that first half, you really frustrated us. We couldn't get behind that back, that midfield. You lot was solid at the back. And it was only that break where we got there was the Jesus header where he headed it over the bar. I think the ball was too high. But apart from that, I can't remember us making that many chances and your keeper actually making that many saves. I felt you defended quite well in that first half, and I felt as well that coming forward as well, you were quite dangerous, man. Especially that Somerville guy, yeah, he was on smoke.
He's a very good player, and like I mentioned to you during the game, he likes playing on the left. Under Gracia, he's been playing on the right because of Nonto, but Nonto is being benched a lot by Gracia. And it's not that I hope that continues. Obviously, he's out injured, but I hope that Somerville gets an extended period there because he did look a lot better than he does on the right. We haven't quite got a good player on the right. Balance is so important. Arsenal have got great balance of Saka on the right, Martinelli or whoever on the left, because it could be Trossard, it can even be a Smith Rowe on the left. And whoever it is, it just gives them great balance. I think we're very left-sided. A lot of our attacks, a lot of the quality is on the left-hand side. But he's very good, and he was so comfortable on the ball, under pressure, won a few good free kicks high up the pitch, and had that chance in the first half. He had a chance to get 1-2 with Mark Rocker. Didn't catch it clean. It was a good opportunity which he created, and just a 1-2. Didn't get enough purchase on the shot. Could have maybe curled it outside to in the post, but forced to save nonetheless. But no, he's a player I've been really wanting to see for a couple of seasons, and this has been his breakthrough season, and he hasn't disappointed.
Yeah. So looking at the predictions as well, I think you were the closest. You said 3-1, I think.
Yeah, and it was 2-1 at one point, and then 3-0 at one point, then 3-1. So I thought, here we go. And unfortunately, the fourth goal, which by the way was a really good goal. I mean, just Xhaka's header, not as easy as it looks, but just a nice cross into him. And I think Bukayo Saka was triple teamed, and he played the right pass. I'm not sure who played the ball into Xhaka. I can't remember, but a good header. But yeah, 4-1. I was the closest. I don't feel good about that because 4-1 is we're talking about goal difference. It's not great. It's another 3 goals against us. But I don't think it was a 4-1 game either.
No, definitely wasn't. Definitely wasn't a 4-1 game. Definitely.
Clearly deserved to win. But yeah, I'd say that scoreline slightly flatters them. I think 3-1 probably been more representative because we deserved a goal, but Arsenal were the better team for at least 70 minutes of the match.
So before I start talking about the Man City Liverpool game, I wanted to look at the table quickly. So let me just bring up the table quickly. Can't bring it up on the screen at the moment, but I just wanted to look at the table. So Leeds are in 16th at the moment. Everton, Leicester, West Ham, Southampton are below them. How many points you've got? 28 points. You and Everton. So Bournemouth, Leeds, Everton, and Leicester all drawn on 28 points at the moment. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think
actually sorry. My mistake. Sorry, you've got 26 points.
Yeah.
Everton's got 26 points. And 60. So respectively, Leeds are in 16th and Everton are in 17th, and Leicester are in 18th with 25 points. How's it looking for you down there, man?
Well, it's really, really tense week to week. I mean, there's just so much permutations in the table. I think you're looking at the 28 column, which is the games played. It's interesting because West Ham have got 2 games in hand and they're only 3 points. So if they can win one of those games, they come out of that bottom zone. Everton play tomorrow, so Everton have the opportunity to leapfrog us, and that pushes us closer to the relegation zone. there's never a good time to be in it. We were in it, we've gotten out of it. So my mentality is don't go in it again. But Bournemouth result today, I didn't see that one coming, and that's got them out. And you can see their
Bournemouth won, did they? Yeah, and
yeah, they
was
did.
it
They
free?
did. I think it's 2-1, and it was a good goal. I managed to see highlights of it, but you'll find this will change. I think being optimistic, the fixtures we've got, I think the next 3 fixtures are at home. One of them is Liverpool, but there's Nottingham Forest, and that's definitely a winnable result. And the other fixture, I believe, is Crystal Palace. So we should be able to. We've got to go for 6 points, and if we get those 6 points, we'll be out. And just try and stay away from that bottom 3, because sooner or later, like the whole table and the way the league works, you're going to run out of games. So you just don't want to be with 4 games left in the bottom. There's too much pressure, and if we're in that situation, it's not going to look good.
And the thing is, you guys got some big games coming up as well. So it's all good playing well, but you guys really need the points. You guys really need the points.
The selection of the team today, I think he was trying to make sure that our strikers didn't carry any knocks going into these key games, because we've got obviously a game midweek and then a game on Saturday. So I think it was load management, but because they're both not really 100%, and the type of game it was obviously going to be a game for lots of tempo. Any knock could have been really crucial. So we'll see if that pays off. But we've got to win that midweek game against Forest. That's the first hurdle. If we do that, I think we swap places with them, and that's always good. So yeah, like you said, got to show 3 points at the end of the day. If you play well, doesn't mean anything if you don't win. A point is always nice, but against these sort of teams, we've got to be looking for 3 points.
So obviously now I'm going to start moving towards like the top 2 title race now, between Arsenal and City. Liverpool went to City today and they got absolutely smoked today by Man City. I watched the whole game. Liverpool started off, they had a little 5-10 minute spell and they scored. Good goal as well by Salah. And then something happened. So Rodri. So hold on, yeah, this is what happened. Salah had a counter attack, and in that counter attack, yeah, I can't remember who was running. Whether it's Jota, I think it might have been Jota, and he had the chance to pass it to Jota, and it's like he didn't have enough legs to pass it, and it was just sort of like a really lame pass, and I think Stones must have blocked it. But after that play, I think there was a ball crossed to Mahrez on the right hand side, and he was able to break, and they just done some little passes, and then they scored. And then from when Man United, from when City scored, that was it. I couldn't see, Liverpool kind of dropped their heads, and then you can just tell like City were on the up, and they were able to, just really control that game. I felt that Klopp really didn't have any ideas. Klopp is like a bit of like a Wenger at the moment, where he looks to his substitutes at like 68 minutes in the game, where actually the game is lost, and you're bringing on four substitutes, which really didn't have no impact on the game. I'd like to say as well, Trent had a shocker today, an absolute shocker. People talk about Trent as this great defender and stuff like that, but the only thing he's great at is going forward and set pieces, because at the back, he is terrible. He's been terrible this season. 2 goals could have been avoided if Trent had put a bit more effort in his runs, track back a little bit more. Um, yeah, so I just, obviously as an Arsenal fan, I wanted Liverpool to win today, but it was going to be a big ask because Liverpool haven't been great away from home. At home, they've been decent, very good, but to go to City and get 3 points, that was always going to be a long shot. But I did feel that they were terrible today. They ended the game not very good. So I wonder if that's going to affect their confidence going into the Arsenal game at Anfield, by the way, where they always actually do well against us. So yeah, I know you didn't watch the game because you were busy. But what do you think about City? And first, what do you think about City? That's what I want to ask you. And then the second question would be, um, what do you feel Liverpool can make the top four?
Well, City, a team which I just think they've got tremendous squad depth that we were talking in the review about Erling Haaland, and I actually predicted this game would be a draw based on if he was absent, which looked to be the case and was the case, then City would lack a little bit of firepower up front. But that was naive. I mean, their midfield is so good at creating chances and obviously scoring goals. I think Gundogan was one of the goal scorers today. From all accounts I heard, Jack Grealish had a really good game, although what you said about Trent, maybe he was made to look good in regards to Trent's defending. But no, I'm really happy to see Liverpool not play well, because I think going into your next fixture against them, it keeps the title race going. But yeah, I do think that City, they're a team that can lose. They've shown that they've lost the odd game, but as you said, this is the business end of the season, and they know what it takes. So I mean, I'm quite surprised that Liverpool conceded 4, but that's an example of them knowing what to do and to be ruthless. In regards to the table, there's still 8 points between first and second, and there's a healthy gap. Obviously, I think City have got a game in hand, which I didn't realise. So yeah, every game's crucial from now on. But European competition is going to be a big factor. I think Arsenal, your players are going to be well rested when we go into that crunch time. That the shake up the last 8 games. Whereas City, they have the squad to rotate, but they might have to sacrifice here and there. So I think it's about that gap. You asked me another question about Liverpool, wasn't it?
Yeah, so my question was, do you think Liverpool will make top four this season?
Yeah, that's it. I was quite surprised they're 8th in the league, and they were quite fortunate because Brighton drew, and I think Brighton and Brentford, as we discussed, they drew, so they didn't pull away too much. They're in and around, I think 7th. They would have gone up, I think, from that point. I think it's going to be difficult for Liverpool. They haven't got European distraction, but the way they're playing, they just don't seem to be able to go on a run. I thought they were, but by all accounts today, I mean, they played one of the best teams in Europe today, but they've not really looked the same. I'd be interested to get your opinion on Virgil van Dijk. You mentioned Trent, Van Dijk, Konate. I mean, how are they as individuals and as a pairing? I mean, because to concede 4 goals, City can do that to you, but you'd expect a little bit better from defenders of that ilk.
Well, Van Disney, that's what people call him. Yeah, he wasn't great today either. And obviously, when the team's not playing well, your best players are gonna look even worse. So yeah, Liverpool at the moment, they have a issue with mainly their midfielders, aging midfield. You've got players like Henderson. that hasn't got the legs, that can't keep up. And they really need to recruit this summer. Some 2 midfielders at least. How much they spend, who knows? But they really need to sort out a few players if they want to get back to that level they were a few years ago. I think they're burnt out. I think the last 4 or 5 years where they were competing with Man City, going for different trophies, that's run out now. I don't think they're going to have that golden spell that they had now, because what happens is they've had that golden spell. Now it's going to be another team that's going to replace them now. So whether it's Arsenal, whether it's Man United, there's going to be another team that comes in. I think if we're talking about next season, we might see the likes of United. We might still see the likes of Arsenal. I still think Arsenal will have. Do you know what? This is dependent on if Arsenal win the league. If Arsenal win the league, I think they will try to retain their title again. I don't think they will win it. I think City will be much stronger. I also think that United will strengthen. Will they be as good as? Because it will come down to a 2-horse race. I don't believe there's going to be a 3-4 horse race when it comes to the league, because if you're going for the 90-point margin, there can only be 2 teams. You can't share that between 3 or 4 teams. It'd be competitive. You've got the likes of Chelsea. They still need to sort themselves out. If they get a new manager, things can change there. You also got to factor in players coming in, injuries, managers, and form. Sometimes when you have a good pre-season, you come into the league and you win like a bunch of games. That gives players confidence, and you can take the confidence. Look at Arsenal this season; they just were winning games. They were just winning games at the start of the league, and that just gave them confidence. No one thought that Arsenal would be at the top come March 2023. So it's all about consistency in terms of the Premier League, and teams need to be ready when they come into this league. So,
yeah, I agree. I think it'll be interesting next season. I think Man United look like the team that could be the next challenger. I think Arsenal and City will maintain their position. Chelsea have got a talented squad. They just need to sort out who they're going to keep. I don't see Liverpool competing unless they get about 6-7 new players. You're right about the midfield. I mean, we were talking about Everton's midfield last time. I'm not sure if Liverpool's midfield at the moment is better than theirs, even though they're the opposite ends of the table. But those are the sort of players with that dynamic they need. They've got an aging player. I mean, Milner, I don't know how old that guy is, but
37, I believe.
It's just incredible that he's still playing.
He's on a new contract than me or something, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I read that as well. So, I mean, he might be playing more games at right back if things continue. But he's a great player to have, but he's not a player that can. You should be looking at one of your better players. Keita, he's quite injury prone. That's not really ever worked out. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, I think, is not going to get a renewal on his contract. He's been rumoured to go to quite a few teams, Newcastle being one of them. But his time at Liverpool was, again, injury affected. And they've got some good young players. I think I can't remember his name, Spanish guy with Eastern European name, but he's been featuring. He looks promising. Harvey Elliott.
Baticic.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, he's injured. He's out for the rest of the season, I believe.
That's a real blow. It's a shame because he was looking good. I think Harvey Elliott's another player.
Yeah,
Again,
he's
he
decent.
had a big injury. He's come back this season. And then I think he plays slightly further, but the player they bought from Fulham, who has come on. But what they need is
Carvalho.
that's it, yeah,
Yeah,
Carvalho. But what they need is they need to take a look at the Premiership. We were talking about Paulinho. I think he'd look really good in a red shirt. He'd look good
wow.
enough for a number of teams.
Yeah,
But they need to change their team if they want to compete. So yeah, I think Liverpool are going to struggle to make top four, and it's amazing. You know, I was saying this the other day to a friend of mine. When you think about how bad their season is, Tottenham are still in that position of fourth place. And you know, it'd be really funny if they managed to get to Europe because they just haven't played well at all. It's been a nightmare season for them. But you think about Liverpool, this is the perfect opportunity to go on a run, and they can't seem to get up in gear.
good thing you mentioned Spurs, because we hate Spurs over here. Do you think now that Conte is gone, do you think the shackles of the shackles are gone now? That the shackles have been taken off. They can express themselves. Kane can be, Kane's had a good season anyway, but you know, do you think they're going to start to like play the players that Conte didn't play? Like Danjuma. They bought Danjuma, but he's hardly ever featured, and he's supposed to be quite a decent player.
I'm not sure. I think because we had the situation before when Conte was recuperating from his operation in Italy, and the number 2 took over, and he'll be in charge at least to the end of the season. They did sort of perk up a bit. I didn't really pay attention to the squad's selection and the first team selection. I don't know if he made anything different. Tottenham do have a lot of players, but I'm not sure if they can make that many changes. I think up front they've got 4 attacking options. I think
Richarlison's injured, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. He came off in Conte's last game, I believe.
Oh, did you see? Sorry. Did you see the headline when Son said, I let Conte down"? What do you think about that statement?
I'm not sure if he needs to say that. I think he's one of many players. I don't think. I mean, clearly he has a lot of respect. He said some really nice things about Jose Mourinho, and he has a lot of respect for coaches. And maybe it's a cultural thing with him, just to take ownership of his performance. And he's comparing to what he did last season, where he was joint top goal scorer. Yeah. So maybe he does feel he hasn't had the best of seasons, but I don't think he needs to say that, take the blame for anything. I think there's a lot of players behind him that just haven't really had good seasons, and that consistently fail. They don't really have a good track record. I was thinking about it the other day. Their defense, for starters. They bought this guy from, I believe they may have got him from loan from France, Clement Lenglet. He's
Barcelona.
Yeah. I remember seeing him playing for Barcelona. I just assumed that they sold him, but that was the club. I didn't want to just make that assumption that because I saw a guy 4 years ago, he's still there. But he looked quite good for Barcelona when I saw him. But maybe it's playing free at the back. I don't know. Yeah. Eric Dyer, too many errors. Just too many errors. And the fact that they use him, wing backs, and you've got his name's escaped me. The Perisic, that's it. I almost said Pulisic. Perisic, I mean, he's another player that seems to be playing forever. The fact that they're using him ahead of someone like Session, Ben Davies is usually the guy that plays there. He's had to play a lot in the centre because of injuries. And people like Davinson Sanchez, it just hasn't, he's just dead wood there. He just needs to move on. The only player that I think it's really worked for in their defence is Romero. The Brazilian right back, whose name escapes me. I'm having a good day today, but he's absolutely
Royale, chicken royale, we
Yeah,
call it.
chicken royale.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he has got no flavour. That's one thing. He no seasoning on that guy. He's just one of the worst defenders I've ever seen. And it's weird because they had Serge Aurier, who was very similar, and they bought another guy who's very similar. I think they regret letting Kyle Walker Peters go because he's actually a lot better than any of those two. Matt Doherty is another player. He's now on loan at Atletico Madrid. So they just a squad that just hasn't performed. So I was quite surprised that Son said that. I don't think he needs to.
Okay, so currently Chelsea are losing 2-0 to Aston Villa. We wasn't expecting that at all. I think both our predictions. Well, we're going to go through the predictions in a moment, anyway. Yeah, it's just been one of those weekends, man. Actually, you know what? We still got Sunday to go through as well. So it's been a crazy day of like loads of goals being scored today. There's been a lot of goals.
There has some last minute twists and turns as well.
Yeah, even the Brighton game. So I'm just going to run through some of our predictions that we had today. So for the Arsenal Leeds game, I think we both had Arsenal to win.
Yeah, we did.
So that was one apiece. For the Man City Liverpool game, we had. I think you put a draw.
That's correct.
And I put a loss for Liverpool, so that's a 2-1 to me. And if I get the scores wrong, yeah, I'll probably have to add it up again at the end. So with Bournemouth and Fulham, you said a home win, so that's a win for you. 0 for me. I said a draw. For the Forest Wolves, what's the Forest Wolves result? Did Forest win?
No, it's another game that had a late change, so it ended up 1-1.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, Daniel Podence scored. I'll just verify that. Yeah,
Forest were winning though, wasn't they? Forest were winning.
Oh
man!
It was a really, apparently that's quite a spiky fixture traditionally.
Yeah,
two clubs are Midlands rivals. Yeah, 83rd minute, Daniel Podence scored, and you'll see if you look at Match of the Day. I think there's some controversy around him and Brennan Johnson, and something happened, and it wasn't picked up by VAR, but there's alleged spitting from Podence.
Yeah,
Brennan Johnson, which I haven't seen, but don't like to see that kind of thing. I don't know what I would do if someone spat at me.
Who done the spitting? Was it
Daniel Podence?
Right. Okay. Anyway, let's not talk too much. I don't want to get into no legal stuff here.
Yeah, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. So the Palace versus Leicester. What was the score in that game? Was it a draw?
Palace Leicester. Believe it or not, Palace won that game.
Palace won, yeah.
Yeah, I think we both had them. Well, I'm not sure what I had. Let me just check. I had Palace to draw.
Yeah, and I had Leicester to win, so I lost that as well.
Yeah, 2-1.
You got the Brighton one, Brighton versus Brentford. You got that correct. You got a draw.
I did, yeah.
And I said Brighton win, so I take an L on that one. We both had Chelsea versus Villa. Chelsea win. How wrong are we on that?
Big fail there.
Yeah. Did West Ham play today or they tomorrow?
They're tomorrow. So we got 2 fixtures tomorrow, and then one on Monday, which I believe is Everton Chelsea.
Oh, right. Okay. So let's just do a little tally up. So 1-1, 2-1, 2-2, 3-2. I think he beat me 3-2 today. That Brighton Brentford draw got you the win, mate.
Well, it's half time really. We'll have to do the whole game week.
Oh yeah. We still got
Tomorrow,
three.
you know, we've
Yeah,
got three, and I've got West Ham to win, and I've also got Newcastle to win, I think. So that Newcastle one, I don't know if I wrote that one down wrong, but that's quite brave. But they are playing at home.
Yeah. The Everton one though as well, I think we've slightly differed. I think you had a draw and I've got a Spurs win. So
yeah,
it could really come down to that result of who's got the win this week. Okay, so we're probably gonna wrap up in about 5 minutes or so. I just want to talk about stuff that we probably might be doing in the near future. So I think we want to do like a team of the year. Something like the most overrated players of the season and underrated players of the season.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing something like that probably in the next few weeks. But I just wanted to just give you guys a quick heads up first before we get into that. So, question for you. Who's going to win the Premier League this season?
Well, I think it's Arsenal. Arsenal just look like they're winners, but there's a slight bias in that because I think the bias comes from the fact that I would prefer to see a team that's a young team and a club that hasn't spent loads and loads of millions building a team beat, the teams that have at number one, but then to go on and win the league. I mean, that's a huge thing for me because it kind of shows me that the game does boil down to coaching, and I think this is where Arteta has really impressed me, just how forward thinking a coach he is. I did mention it in our review, not that Arsenal were behind, but he certainly got a reaction out of Arsenal. In the second half, they were a different team. So I think he's got those basic coaching skills where he's got the respect of his teams. He can analyze the game. Increasingly now in Premiership football, you see these kind of like almost timeouts. There'll be an injury on the field. Arteta's always got his players round. He's giving instructions. Everything's very clear at Arsenal at the moment. Man City, on the other hand, are a powerhouse. I mean, they've got, for me, the best coach in the world. People say checkbook manager. I can see what they're saying. I don't agree. What I see is a manager who constantly challenges his players. I mean, to have Laporte and Diaz on the bench after Laporte had probably, he was definitely in contention of player of the season 2 seasons ago. Then he gets dropped. Then Diaz last season, same thing, player of the season contender. Then, he's out the first team. And now we have a situation where we've got Manuel Akanji playing really, really well. And he can get any of those players to come back in the team and play. He will drop players or rotate players at whim and challenge them. And you never really know what he's going to do. I think this year they've been very predictable because of Haaland. So they've been a little bit more direct, if that makes sense. Not long ball, but more vertical passes towards his feet, getting the ball to him early and keeping him high up the pitch. So that's a bit different. But, I mean, you could never really write City off. My opinion is that I need to look at the fixtures to see what they can do. But they've got goals. They've got goal threats. I mean, to score 4 without Haaland is pretty impressive.
I don't think De Bruyne came on either. I don't think he did. I don't think De Bruyne played today. Yeah, I don't think he did. He might have, but I didn't notice him. But I don't think he did come on today.
Well, Alvarez is another guy. I mean, he stepped up.
Alvarez is serious, man. He's sick. He's a sick baller, man.
Those sort of players would walk into any club, and he's on the bench a lot. I imagine we're going to see lots of him. He might be used a bit like Gabriel Jesus was.
Yes, exactly. They're already making the comparisons of him and Jesus already, which is quite interesting. I think obviously Alfred has got a higher ceiling at this moment in time. But yeah, it's be interesting. I know you're not gonna ask me that question because I'm not going to give you an answer.
No, and I did last time, so I remembered the response.
Yeah,
And I wouldn't want to be an
after
Arsenal fan right now. You got to try and stay a bit calm, but I'm just
Yeah.
looking at the fixtures, and it's quite nice. I don't know if they're going to move this because this is a midweek fixture, but 26th of April, Manchester City entertain Arsenal at the Etihad. It could all boil down to that, That's
but do we have like Champions League games around that time as well? Because remember, if City are playing for the Champions League, that might be a big factor as well. They will have to rotate. They may have to rotate.
And you're right, because the Champions League is usually around my birthday, which is the 24th. Now, it will be that week, so maybe this fixture will be moved anyway, because they play obviously a game on Tuesday and then a league game on Wednesday. So I'm surprised it's actually still here. I mean, you'd want that to be a Super Sunday match or a Monday Night Football game rather than a midweek game to get that maximum audience. Broadcasters will do that. So that will probably get moved. And the bad thing about that is they might move it to the second last week of the season, game of the season, to try and get that. Well, it's funny, both of the clubs, Arsenal, of course, when we were much younger, played Liverpool in that title decider, and obviously Man City played QPR for a different sort of context for a title decider. So I think they might push that one really forward. So it might be the 37th game that's played. So if both teams are still in the hunt, it's kind of a decider, which I don't think is really fair. I don't think it's fair, but it makes for good television. So they might do that, but I really hope Arsenal win. I can't say it, again, but I will. I think game's about coaching and what Arteta's done with the likes of Martinelli and Bukayo Saka and just this young team he's got. He's got 4 Hale End graduates in this team, with Eddie Nketiah being one and Emil Smith Rowe being the other. He's got them all playing, and then just the young dynamic, Ben White, Saliba, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name.
Saliba.
Kieran Tierney, Odegaard, these guys are going to be around for the next 5 or 6 years. Some of them anyway. Some of them will move on. But, the premise is this is a young team. And Man City's team are very experienced, not so young. So be interesting, but I would like them to win just to make the Premier League a bit interesting, because Man City's dominance is forcing clubs to actually look at, getting sold to people with lots of money, which I don't think is good for the game. I just don't. Just my opinion.
Anyway, on that nutshell, we're going to wrap up today. If anyone's watching the video now or in the future, you can just press the like button and click on the subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed. Hopefully, the next video. Oh, what's that noise? I don't know what that noise was. Hopefully, in the next video, we'll have Mr. Age hosting, and we're going to see what the topic will be for that session. But yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe to Age Online as well, and we'll see you next time. Peace out,
people.